I'm going to go over a few problems from the Math 3 Unit 8 Worksheet 7, and I'm going to start towards the end. We'll start at number 7. So 7, we're asked to focus on the 5 key points for the trig function, to sketch the first period for each of the following functions in one color, and then to use a different color to extend the pattern for that function in both directions so that it contains the x values between negative pi and 3 pi. So number 7, we have, well, to find our starting point, we're going to look at the pi over 2 and the 1. The x minus pi over 2 is going to move us to the right from 0, 0. The 1 is going to move us up 1. Okay, and normally the equilibrium or the middle of this is at the x-axis, but because we moved up 1, the middle or equilibrium is now at a height of 1. And our first point is usually on the equilibrium, and it's been moved to the right pi over 2. So this right here is pi over 2, and so here is our first point. Then we look at the 3, which is our amplitude. And our amplitude is the distance, the furthest distance that our graph moves away from the middle, or the equilibrium. And so this is a positive sine function. So first it moves above. So from the equilibrium from 1, I'm going to count up 1, 2, 3, which gives me at a height of 4. So this sine curve is increasing to that maximum. The next part, it's going to come back down to the equilibrium. There's our third point. And then it's going to go below the equilibrium, the distance of the amplitude. So below 1, 2, 3. So we're going to be at a height of negative 2. And then back to the equilibrium. And that's one full period, or one full pattern of this sine curve. Now I'm going to just continue that pattern. I'm going to move up to above the equilibrium, above 3 pi. I'm going to go below the equilibrium on the x-axis, back up to the equilibrium, and then above. Number 8. So first I'm going to move the equilibrium up 2. So here's the center. And then I'm going to move my first point on the equilibrium to the right, a distance of pi. So my first point is right here. And then the negative sign tells me it's going to be reflected. And the amplitude is, you have a 1 here, so that's our amplitude. So the reflected part means we're not going to first go above the middle, we're going to go below. So I'm going to go below the equilibrium a distance of 1, because 1's our amplitude, back up to the equilibrium, then above, then back down to the middle. And there's one period or pattern of our sine function, and I'm going to continue that pattern all the way back to negative pi. Number 9. We're going to move up 3. And so that our equilibrium is at a height of 3. And move left pi. So our first point is above negative pi on the equilibrium. And then our amplitude is 1/2. So I'm going to go above the amplitude a distance of 1/2, which puts me at 3.5. Back down to the middle. Below 1/2, so that's like 2.5. Back up. There's one period or pattern of our sine function. And then I'm going to continue that pattern to complete that. And number 10, -1 moves us down. So our equilibrium is down here. The plus pi over 2 is going to move us to the left pi over 2. Right, so our first point is above negative pi over 2. The negative sign tells us to reflect. So our first point is going to move down, and our amplitude is a distance of 2. So I'm going to go down a distance of 2, which puts me at -3. Back up to the equilibrium. Above the equilibrium a distance of 2, which puts me at a height of 1. Back down to the equilibrium. There's one period or one pattern. And then I'm going to extend that to the left and to the right. Like that. Make sure your graphs are curves and you don't get the pointy V shapes as you're drawing these curves through them.